And the whole idea behind work breakdown structure is to break down your whole project into work packages. You start from top is your project, this is the top level, and then you cut it into smaller pieces until you reach the last level. And the last level in a managerial term is called the work package level. A work package is a very small project. So the whole idea, you break it down from a huge one to small project. And in this process, the breaking down, there are two important things you should always keep in your mind. The deliverables, what should be delivered, and the risk response measures. For each deliverables, you sit and think about what could go wrong. And then you add more deliverables to handle these risks. So at the end, when you finish your process, as you, I hope you can realize now, this process is actually an iterative process. It emerges. You start with a small breakdown, and then you enlarge it, and then you enlarge it, and then you enlarge it until you feel that, yeah, the deliverables are well defined and there are risk response measures to these deliverables. So it is not a linear process, but it is more likely like an iterative or emerging process. This is how a work breakdown structure actually looks like. As you can see, it's a graphical tool. You want to see how your project look like, how your individual work packages are interrelated. What is the logical breakdown or the logical relationship between these work packages? For instance, you could start the project. This is what is written here 1.0. This is the project level, the overall project goal. This is what you want to achieve. And then you break down this project into major components. These are, let's say, a major milestones or major contracts. This is a huge deliverables. For instance, just an example, if you are working on a software development, you could say that one work package is finding the requirement. The second work package is developing the requirement. And the third work package is the implementation of the software. And the fourth work package is perhaps hardware procurement. And this last work package is integration and testing. So these are major components. But as you hear from me, these are like, what does it mean when you say integration of hardware and software? This can be further cut into a smaller sub-deliverables. They are called supporting deliverables. So a major work package, a major milestone can be brought down into a smaller component. And each one of these smaller components can be divided or can be further brought down into work packages. And when you reach at the work package level, then you have completed the breakdown of your project. So we need to understand what is a work package. A work package is simply a small project. It has a defined deliverable. This deliverable could be a component, could be a report, could be a decision, could be a system, a subsystem, but it must be well defined. I mean, at the end of any work package, you must say, aha, I have completed this. For instance, you could say If I completed interview round in a system development project, then this is a work package. So interviewing X number of customers is a work package. Sending questionnaire to X number of clients is a work package. Building a wall is a work package. Finishing with piping in a house is a work package. It must be well defined. But another characteristic, it must has something we call one owner. What does that mean? It means that I must be able to give this work package to one person. Let's say Ina. Ina, you are in charge of this work package, which means that Ina, in fact, is a project manager for this work package. She must be able to decide on how it will be done, who will be doing it within her team. Of course, she has to coordinate, but she is the responsible person for the project. Another thing that which is very important is the size of this work package. One might say that how long or how big a work package should be. Well, there are different opinions about that, but most of the researchers or the scholars and even practitioners says that a work package should not take long time. Uh, some says it should be roughly between 40 to maybe 80 hours. Some says, well, it could be maximum 200 hours, work hours, which means that if you have one person working on a work package, this person will require between 1 week and 2 weeks to complete this work package. So this is an optimal duration of a work package, 1 week to 2 weeks. Why? Because you want to be able to control it. You want to be able to control the risks. You know very well, the longer duration you have, the more risks there are, the more uncertainty. So the shorter duration you have, the more ability you will have to complete this work package. How we define or how we break down a work package or a project into work packages, there is no standard solution. Some organizations break down into 4 levels, some others 9 levels, some other 5 levels, and so on. So in practice, on different practice, there is no standard way of how the breaking down should take place. The usual way that you start with the project level, and then you go to major deliverables, which are the milestones, and then each milestone you break it down into smaller milestones if you want, and then you come to take these smaller milestones and define the important deliverables to achieve that particular milestone. And the last one, which is the level 4 here, is the work package level. It's an autonomous, each work package is autonomous project assigned to one person. Is that person become the project manager, and that person with the team will be able to say check completed or not completed. Example, just to show you the how it looks like. As you can see, this is a system development or a process development project. On top level, as you can see here, we divided this project into 3 phases or 3 major milestones. If you want to develop a process or you want to improve a process, what do we do usually? What are the most important steps? Well, first, you find out how you want to improve your process. This is called the research and recommendations. find out. And then you implement your process, and then you evaluate the outcome of your process. This is a typical process development or process improvement project. But you see, the word research and recommendation, this seems to be huge. Again, we break it down into smaller phases. How do we do research and recommendation? Well, first we have to check what is the state of the art. It means that what is there available outside our knowledge. And then we find our situation. How do we deal with that? What are our problems? What are our experiences with the current process? And then simply you try to compare your situation with what is there out there, what's new in the world. That's a gap analysis, and perhaps you do some brainstorming, and then finally you come with recommendations. This is how the process should be performed. But as you can see, for instance, current situation here, it's a huge task. It's important milestone to identify our current situation, but how? You see, how you will do that? Well, we could do that by interviewing staff, by sending surveys to our staff, and perhaps conducting some sort of statistical analysis. Now, it looked like we can stop here. We don't need to break down these activities into more and more smaller activity, because interviewing staff is a clear deliverable. I will interview X number of people in my organization to understand their experiences. And the result of this task is clear: a list of experiences, findings, how they experience the existing process. And surveys, it is a clear task with clear objective, with a clear result. At the end, I will find a list with findings. And statistical analysis is also a clear task with clear outcome. So when you see a box here which need further breaking down, then you break it down. Here, as you can see under implementation, you see process documentation. Perhaps you don't need to break this one down. Provide training, it could be one work package. Acquire software, it could be as well a work package. So sometimes you break down further, and sometimes you don't break down. It is not the case that every milestone should be brought down to lower level. No, you select according to the scope of your work. At the end of the day, you see that at the end of the day, you must be able to define important deliveries in your project. In this project, for instance, there's the search, interview expert, doing benchmarking, interviewing staff, surveys, statistical analysis, gap analysis, brainstorming, documentation, training, and acquire software and evaluations are the most important work packages you will be conducting in order to be able to complete your project. And at this level, if you feel that, now I have a good understanding of my scope of work, then I am ready for the next phase. The next phase will be, of course, to try to organize these activities into a diagram in order to do the time planning, in order to be able to do the resource planning, in order to do risks assessment. For instance, you could say when you're doing the risks assessment, you could ask, provide training, which means I want to train my employee to the new process. And then you can start asking questions. Where this training will be done, locally or outside? Locally, I don't have places to do that. Outside, then I must hire some people to do that. Are they available? When they available? If they are available, do they have the experiences? You start asking questions. So you see, risk assessment in this case, making your project flexible, is about asking more and more questions. If you say, I want to acquire a software, well, do I have good machine park to handle this new software? How much training I need to conduct in order to acquire this software? Can I do it myself? Can I just buy a ready-made package and just install it? Or do I need to start a new project to acquire this software? So this type of diagrams helps you to ask the questions. Find where is the weakest link here and try to address this weakest link. In addition, this type of diagram helps you to see the entire picture. So there are a lot of advantages of having this type of diagram that we will cover as we go in this course. So what are these benefits? As you can see, it's a tool to visualize your work, which can improve communication. It is one thing to sit and talk about the scope of work verbally and to have a figure that shows what are the pieces of work that we need to complete. And as you can see, this is, you look here and you immediately start asking about, is there anything I need to do? Did I cover everything in this diagram? Or is there any missing elements? So you are raising questions when you looking at the diagram. And of course, this will help you to understand the scope of your work as early as possible. And this might reduce the needs for change. So you achieve a better level of realism. And you can see from the diagram, you can immediately go to the diagram and ask the questions. Acquire software. Can I do that? Really, can I do that by myself? Conducting statistical analysis. Can I do that? Is there anything else I should be doing? I should be adding in order to do this statistical analysis. So as you go, you are raising questions, and this helps you in defining where are you weak and where are you strong, the risks picture of your project. It could be a tool to differentiate between in-house and supplier work. Well, maybe acquiring a software is not something I can do in-house. Maybe I should outsource this task. As you can see also from the diagram, you start with a huge task, process development or a process improvement project, to more concrete task, manageable task. Thus, you are reducing the complexity. You can as well create a responsibility matrix, in the sense that you can go here and you say, well, interview staff is Fatima will be doing that. Surveys, Ina will be doing that. Statistical analysis, Harry will be doing that. And Faiza will be doing that. And Howard will be doing that. So it's immediately easier for you to say who will be doing what, which will reduce the level of conflicts at the end. And this is perhaps, I think, it's important. It's a tool for learning. We learn about our project and we learn about how our organization is doing project. So when you build this tool, it's a tool, you share experiences, you share knowledge, and this knowledge hopefully will be used in the next project. So it becomes suddenly something, a tool for the entire organization or for the next project. You can use it to compare your projects with other existing projects or other previous projects. Knowledge sharing. And perhaps something I really like about the WBS, it's a tool to reduce the perception gap among stakeholders. This is our project. It's easy to share, it's easy to communicate. There is no hidden agendas here. Everything is visible to everyone, which improve the commitment level uh, to the project, because the stakeholders are able to see the work. They perhaps you even get the stakeholders to join you when you are developing your project. So it creates a better level of commitment indeed. Perhaps one thing that also an advantage, it shows that as a project manager, it shows that you are able to communicate your project, that you are an experienced project manager. There is one thing to come and talk about a project in general, and totally different thing to come and say what really will be done. What are the steps? What are the deliverables? What are the risks in a good way, in a visual way? So this creates trust to you. And it could be a tool to justify cost estimates for the client. I will tell you a small story about the use of this WBS. Once I visited a company here in Trondheim, and this company was specialized in building huge electrical motors for the oil and gas industry. So these are huge things like 15 million kroner, 20 million kroners, and big things. And they had this negotiation strategy before they go to the client. You know, the client come with a request. I need this. This is my specification. This is the depth. That sort of information. So they develop a complete work breakdown structure. They don't call it work breakdown structure, but they call it product work breakdown structure. But in this product work breakdown structure, they specify everything. And then they go to the client and say, okay, this is your request. Here it is on paper. And it will cost you $20 million or 20 million kronas. And the client would say, no, that's expensive. We want a discount, or can you make it cheaper? They say, yes, we can make it cheaper. And they start with the client going through every element in the product work breakdown structure and say, for instance, okay, this is the rotor. A part of, any electrical motor is something called the rotor, that one that is spinning around. And they say the steel of this rotor, we import the steel from Germany, but we could import cheaper steel from an Asian country, for example. And if we change the supplier of steel from Germany, for example, to another country, we will reduce the cost by 500,000. Do you agree or disagree? And many people think and believe that the German steel is the best steel in the world. Nothing can beat German steel. And no one wants steel from any other country because, there are some imperfections and, that story. So they say, no, we will keep the German steel. And they start going through every element in this work breakdown structure. At the end of the day, it feels that the client is very happy or become very happy that they got this type of specifications for this type of price. So they use it actively to justify their cost. And then they use the same work breakdown structure to monitor the project, to measure the progress. Did we finish this component? How much is left? How much is we need? How much time we need to complete it? And as you can see, this is they use it as a baseline for entire cost estimation process, and as well as for time.